So for everybody that's here that doesn't know me, I am Nick DeFusco, also known as Mr. 69, Mod 69 in the AstroDonkey world, okay? I got that name, not the way you think. I bought whitelisted NFT 69 from the AstroDonkey community. You guys can call me whatever you want, right? We're here for a good time. So, Hunter, how are you doing, man? How are you staying busy or what?
Yeah, keeping real busy, particularly in the real life things outside of the crypto element. My wife and I are putting on an engagement in our community. On Monday, we're expecting between 500 and 1,000 people showing up at our house. We're giving out hundreds of goodie bags to some local children. We got Santa, our local PD is going to be involved, cookies, cocoa, really trying to get the community in the holiday spirit. We've sponsored a couple of dozen families that are going to show up before this event is going to happen and have one-on-one time with Santa and the helpers, and give these children a Christmas that parents are struggling, and like so many people struggling this year, and through the power of crypto and the power of the community, man, we've been blessed to be able to do that, and really happy to be here tonight and talk crypto with you and the team. And part of what really gravitated me towards your project and all of you folks was you're real. You believe in charity, you believe in community, you believe in family, and that's more than 99.97% of the projects that are out there. So kudos on you.
Yeah. I wanted to actually chat with you about that. It's kind of a little more down my list, but I actually wanted to talk about, first I'd love to hear about, your background as well, how you got into it in the first place, right? But I also wanted to talk about how you put on all these events, right? And you've talked to this about me before, so I kind of have an idea of your level of community involvement. But for everybody out there who's listening in our community that might not necessarily know, you are incredibly, incredibly involved constantly in giving back to the community.
I try. I'm a small cog in the larger wheel, which is the community as a whole. I've been in crypto since you could mine Bitcoin with a Raspberry Pi. So back in the day, obviously you can't do much with that anymore. But really, years ago, my wife and I decided to get into the mining operations because why not capitalize off of the investment and have the hardware working for you? It also has really opened this expansive network of people we've been able to meet with and consult with other investors in different projects, not just on the blockchain, but being on the cutting edge of the hardware that's going to support the future of the development of the blockchain and the nodes that power the transactions. And so we've done rather well in the crypto space. We've been able to, in our local community here in Dayton, we've been able to keep a food pantry open. The Four Parishes Network in Old North Dayton, unfortunately, had to close down one of those food pantries. And there's roughly 300 families that depend on meals there every month. And so there was the question of what would it take to keep this open for the next 6 months until the end of the year. And well, I was told, well, Hunter, it's going to take $47,000 in operating costs. Okay, so if I handed you a check for that amount, could you keep this place open and feed these families? And the lady laughed and said, yeah, if the check cleared the bank. Okay. And she was like, what? So,
yeah, right.
and so she's like, we'd be happy to put a plaque, just some type of a nod to your family, to the foundation. And that's not why my wife and I do it. I proudly served in the Marine Corps for 8 years. I was diagnosed with a non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in 2006 when I was medically discharged. I was hospitalized 21 days a month for 3 months, undergoing treatment that I was told I'd either succumb to the treatment or be dead within 5 years due to the rare and aggressive nature of the cancer. It puts things into perspective, brother. When you're lying in bed and you're getting sick over yourself a dozen times a day and you can't move, I thought about killing myself. I thought about, I'm useless to my family. I feel like a burden. But my wife of now 20 years, she didn't let me quit. and uh, when I put my feet to the floor each day, going on 16 years cancer-free now, when I put my feet
Yep.
to the floor each day, I still deal with long-term pain, the neuropathy, and just the permanent nerve damage from the chemo. And it hurts. Every morning I wake up, I'm actually paralyzed roughly for about a half hour. It takes a bit to kind of crunch through. But I make that choice that we all do. That you can be a hateful, jaded, and a toxic individual to those you meet in life, or you can be an empowering change, something that you want to see, a difference in the world, something positive. Now, it doesn't mean I'm without my flaws. We all have our off days, but it does mean you should empower somebody through education or do something good for somebody, but not expect something in return other than them remembering it and paying that forward. And so crypto has empowered my family to be financially well enough off to where we can support these community initiatives, whether it be veteran suicide awareness programs, food pantry, or even hosting Christmas here at our home for several of the children in the neighborhood. Um, it just feels good to give back, but it also feels good that we're involved in crypto in a way of not just investments in the tokens, but also the mining and being able to have coffee and crypto type podcasts, or even
Yep.
speaking with local community leaders and showing them how to use crypto as the future of fundraising, if you will.
Yeah.
So
So
it's been a hell of a ride so far.
yeah. Well, so first off, I have a question. So you're mining. Do you do this in your own facility? Do you have a facility? Do you run this? This is just I just have this out of curiosity. Do you run this out,
Of course,
out of your home? Is it in a? Do you have a separate building for it?
both. We
Okay.
we have a considerable amount of hardware in a converted room that we use for mining operations. We also have an offsite facility that, for security purposes, we don't advertise the address on Twitter for some
No, of
reason.
course not. Right.
And being able to get in with a group of investors to help facilitate the hardware, the cooling. Our team actually, and I say our team with myself and a few other folks that are on my team with Recon Crypto, we studied the laws of thermodynamics and HVAC, and spoke with some incredibly intelligent folks, and we were able to keep our entire mining operation this year in 105-degree weather in Dayton. 77 of these
Wow.
miners that have 1,500-watt power supplies with no air conditioning,
Really?
with none. So we were able to
Wow.
use natural east-west flow, ratioing the humidity levels per the CFM. It got technical, and but it was actually rather cool. So yeah, we have a pretty good amount here. Um, we keep more of the bigger boys and the bigger money producers off-prem, but my still residential power bill is almost $2,000 a month for the hardware we have
Right.
here.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't even imagine if you're running any kind of operation out of your home. There's people that have, they run one little thing they buy on eBay, and it's like, ups their power bill $200 a month.
Oh, easily. And it was actually one of the funny things. My wife and I are outside. We have all these lights. We have all these inflatables. And every time we went to plug something in, we kind of flinched, like, is this going to be the one that explodes the house, right? We have an electrician friend of ours. He came out. We gave him what we're looking for. Interestingly enough, we made him sign an NDA. Because we need a custom grid for what we're looking for.
Okay.
And he's like, wait a minute, you're Hunter Patterson, right? Like the guy in Huber, like you're this guy. And I said, yeah. He's like, man, he says, I'm willing to do your whole grid, no charge, but teach me something about crypto. And I was like, I'll happily do so if you don't mind teaching me a little bit about high voltage, because that's not my wheelhouse. And so he came out, he did this whole custom grid for us, and it just felt really, really good. He's actually on vacation right now. In the past 8 months, he's capitalized on over $400,000 worth of investments that only took him 15 to get there.
Wow.
Just he made some very smart moves. But one of the things that he had brought up that really put our pedal to the metal with our busting open these scams is that he was making mention that every project he was getting into, he's getting rugged. He really, it seemed like no matter what he did or who he went to, he's like, oh, this has celebrity backing. This really looks legit, this website. He kept getting his investment stolen. And so privately, I've consulted for many years with various businesses and investment groups on ways to protect their investments and ways to conduct intel to identify scams. And probably over the past year, I've been publicly showing off some of those tips and tricks and trying to empower folks through that educational awareness and showing some dirty tricks that these programs will use to try to trick investors out of their hard-earned dollars.
So let's take a little, I want to take a little step back because I want to hear a little bit about how you actually got involved with crypto in the first place. How did you find yourselves? How did you stumble upon crypto?
Being a part of a recon element in the Marine Corps, intelligence was always something that fascinated me, or the technology that would exist that could allow you to extrapolate data in ways you never thought possible. The rumors at the time of quantum computing and the capabilities of what something with a computer and a logarithm could do and potentially reinvent the entire way the financial system works universally. So immediately when I heard of Bitcoin, I was like, wow, this is cool, but what the hell is it, right? Like nobody knew, but there was this fascination with it. But it got me into the Raspberry Pi and the custom hardware, really the do-it-yourself capabilities with that hardware to get on the cutting edge of something that could pioneer the financial industry, something that, well, could generate financial independence, right? I mean, a lot of us get into crypto nowadays to look at getting rich or to get financial independence, but back in that day, it was more of a curiosity thing because I mean, Bitcoin was pointless. As a matter of fact, I think there was like 10th place in a gaming competition that I was in. I won 300 Bitcoins. Obviously, I don't have those now. It'd be a little different story today, but it was just this fascination. Right. Well, no, I'd be there with you having that drink.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's right.
And so it was, at first to me, it was just this fascination of could this actually, this science fiction, right? Because in these old movies, you always hear about the credits, there's never really a cash exchange. You never hear dollars. And so what really fascinated me with it is like we are bringing science fiction into reality of a way of a universal financial system that becomes decentralized and is not as heavily regulated. Like with the Fed as an example in the U.S. government, it not being physically controlled by the U.S. government, and just ways of looking at how this is going to impact transactions worldwide. And so because that captured my interest, keeping up on the hardware and the technology, the blockchain, its development and so forth, it really just started out as a fascination of what the potential could be for this. I didn't actually expect to make money in it.
I see. So you had said that you were in the service for 8 years, and thank you for your service, by the way. Was this something that you started before you were in the service, during, after?
I'd say after is when I really got into the hardware. I mean, I've had the Raspberry Pis going from 2011 and beyond, but of course, kids came along. Like I have a 22-year-old, an 18-year-old, and an 11-year-old, and so here I am wanting to set up this huge mining operation for Bitcoin back in the day. Well, it just so happened to have been our youngest daughter's bedroom that I needed to convert into the nursery. So every time I look at my little one, Mabel, I think, God, that's a $400 million investment. I'm probably out right now, but I love her to death. I'm not going to hold that against her. But it's just, real life always gets in the way. And as time went on, there was just so much evolving, right? And it's sensory overload because there's so much terminology in the crypto space, and it's just so inundating and it's so filled with crap. And there's not really a lot of resources that are out there, interestingly enough. You'll watch a YouTube video on how someone's conducting mining. You'll hear about this hottest, this greatest project and think it's a multi-level marketing scheme. So at one point when I started to generate revenue from our mining, and I saw a couple of $1,000s end up in our digital wallet, it was at that point that it's like, this really could be the way to gain financial independence. And what triggered that was when I was medically discharged, I had to fight the VA for my disability. Now, I couldn't afford the power bill. I couldn't afford groceries. The VA was only paying me 25% disability. And it felt like kind of a slap in the face of serving so many years and being medically discharged and having to fight the VA. And, I'm sure you've heard horror stories. It takes forever for these guys to get moving.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's just, could this be a way to gain financial independence? Could this be a way that I can control the future investments of, like, my Social Security isn't going to be there by the time I retire. My 401k isn't going to do crap, and so this shifted this kind of the bad in life, financially struggling and wondering, how am I going to provide for my children? Something ever happens to me, if my cancer comes back, if I get killed in the line of duty, if something were to go catastrophically wrong, what future am I setting up for my children that, even though it's not a guarantee, I have a lot more control over how that money's being managed than most would think.
Right. So, and that's a great segue into discussing how, we all know in our community, especially, that you're an incredibly knowledgeable person when it comes to crypto, right? So where did you start learning about crypto? So were you kind of like, did you do independent research? How did you start learning about it?
A lot of it was trial and error. Shorting out Raspberry Pis.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
And interestingly enough, even attending some white hat hacking events and maybe some a little bit darker shade hat of alternative means of data acquisition, getting into the hacking realm or the cybersecurity realm, my civilian equivalent, working intelligence in the Marine Corps, that underground network is really what catapulted my interest in learning how to do it. Not just how to do it, but how to do it right. But so much of it was trial and error. That's the concept of tens of thousands of nodes all over the world now processing transactions. You'd have been laughed at, 10 years ago, right? Like, and so learning how to do it came more of the trial and error. I was asked this question last week, interestingly enough, of Hunter, do you think that the resources today to learn crypto are more advanced, farther along, and better than they were when you first got into it? And my answer to that would be no, because I think when it first came out, I think when people were first getting their feet wet with it, it was more about that community than you see the majority of the time now. You had people with a common interest. You had people with intelligence genuinely wanting to make a difference in the financial world and setting themselves up for that freedom. But the majority of the whole crypto space is turned into an MLM and screwing the other guy over for a percentage.
Right. So, yeah, and that's kind of another, perfect segue into, when you look at a coin, what are you looking for? I know that you're very involved in security. Is that the biggest part of what you look for when you're looking to invest in new kind of cryptocurrency? Are you looking for, what kind of parameters are you looking at when you're focusing in on a coin?
No, great question. I'm a real strong advocate for buying the team, not the token. I understand that not all the time can a team dox. As an example, if you hold secret security clearance, and you happen to be like doing crypto mining operations or linking to foreign sites and exchanges that may be frowned upon, and I've actually have seen firsthand somebody lose their security clearance as a result of that.
Oh, wow.
So I understand the doxing point to a degree, especially because I know what it's like to have your real life identity exposed on the internet and have death threats. But it just comes down to the transparency of the project, right? So if somebody comes out and says, this is this new token, Shiba, whatever the hell they may want to call it, some derivative of a dog, and you ask the utility and they say it's coming. Okay, well, where's the white paper? Well, it's not there yet. What about the website? It's coming. It's a cart before the horse, right? So one of the first things that I'm looking at with the project is the level of foundation and stability that it's already established for itself as a grassroots organization, if you will, a grassroots project, very similar to AstroDonkey, where you started organically. You didn't, okay, we're building this and then we'll figure this out. It was, we're going to register as a business entity. We're going to define a roadmap. We're going to make this transparent. We're not hiring bots for our TGs. We're not going to project this image that we're something that we're not, because we want to be something that's better. We want to be something that's real. And of course, it comes into liquidity lock and if the dev wallets are accessible or if they're locked and so forth. There's lots of little evil tricks that people can use to tank a project. But the big thing that I'm looking for is how well established, even if the team is not completely doxed, what are they known for, other projects, if applicable, and how established is the project, and is there content available to go research about the project, not I'll give you the contract on the day of release because I'm worried about scammers. Why don't you want me to look at the contract now? You know, so
Right. So when you're looking at a project, right? You said there's 100 million different little things, right, that you can come across. So
Sure.
when you look at something, do you just naturally remember all this stuff because you've been doing it so long, or do you have some sort of reference point where you look at it and be like, hey, this is what I need to look for? You know, or is this just more of an organic approach for you as well, where you're like, hey, you know, I've been doing this for so long. This is what I see. This is what I know. I'm used to all these little tricks, and then I can just kind of run my own conclusion.
I think it's a little of both, because there's the checklist. Check for liquidity lock, check the wallets, check the utility and so forth. But let's be real. When we get into a crypto project, yes, we care about community and yes, we care about utility. But there are some projects that you get into that you know they're not going to do anything at all, but potentially make you a ton of money. And that's honest. You know, that's perfectly fine if you're in the crypto space. And so I think everybody has the same feelings or the same checklist that they look for. I would say I take a more holistic approach in how I look at the project, particularly if I see things that are red flags to me. If I reach out directly to that development team, I'm not putting them on the spot saying, if you don't respond to me, I'm going to blast you all over Twitter. But I am asking if they'd be willing to do an AMA. You know, help me understand your project. That's what I want to do. You know, there's other people in the crypto space that, you know, they'll chase down scammers and things like that. And they're very quick to pull the trigger on a project they deem as a scam. And sometimes those persons could be wrong. I like to take that holistic approach and say, hey, there's a lot missing here. You know, may I have a few minutes of your time and just start asking questions about that project, what that utility may be. And a lot of the time there is no utility. It's just get in early, turn $1,000 into 10,000 and get out. But I'd say that it varies what you're looking for, because sometimes I'm willing to overlook an obvious red flag if I can turn $1,000 investment into tens of thousands and just get out. So, and all of us do that. We're all looking to try to get an extra couple of bucks here and there.
Right. Do you remember the first ever project you had that you found that was like a complete scam? Do you remember your first rug pull?
I've been a part of several of them. I mean, just this year alone, I just crossed the 1,400 mark in projects that I've been a part of and
Oh,
either reviewed or have touched in some manner.
yeah.
I don't remember the very, very first token. It was actually on the Ethereum blockchain.
Okay.
But if you say anything negative about the Ethereum blockchain, you'll get killed. So,
Not in this chat. You won't. We're
okay,
all
good, good,
BSC
good.
over here, baby.
There we go. And thankfully, gas fees are high enough. But um, I do know it was an NU variant. But you bring up an interesting point. It's you know there's 1,100 projects that are released on the Binance chain every day. And the ease of being able to do this, companies like CoinHunt, CoinGecko, even CoinMarketCap, these companies have found a way to profit from several of these projects coming out every day. And so, getting rugged, it's happened to everybody. I put money into a project that the guy had a capability of honeypotting it, and nothing is a 100% in crypto. I've put money into a project that the contract came back flawless. The team was doxxed. I mean, everything looked good, but then human nature kicked in. He turned into the hundreds of thousands of dollars, and bam, he's out. And so you also have to look at not just the rug pull from the contract perspective, but the human element and how they'll treat you. But unfortunately, as time has gone on, when you have your CoinGeckos and your coin market caps that are allowing this advanced listing through paying. I mean, you can get a
Right.
CoinGecko listing and such pretty quickly. It's not helping because what it's doing is it's taking legit projects like AstroDonkey, who's going through the motions correctly, who's doing it organically and morally right, and it's putting those projects so far behind these other 1,199 projects that are coming out that day that are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month on a scam. And so they're actually cheating the better projects. And so as a project like AstroDonkey that's organic, where does it turn for legitimacy? How do you get that recognition? How do you prove to the public you're not a rug pull? Well, you meet some guy on the internet, Hunter, hey, he's a pretty cool guy. He says it's not a rug pull. Cool. But what about these other influencers that have 200, 400,000 followers that a project pays them money to say this project is amazing, here's
Right.
10 grand, and that person dumps their bag, leaves the project in a very bad way, and then it's rinse and repeat.
Right.
So
Right.
it's a difficult process, but there's really no silver bullet how to identify who's right and who's wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. I mean, there's so many platforms to trade on nowadays too. I mean, it's hard to some coins. Oh, we're only releasing on this. We're only releasing on Pink Sale. We're only releasing on CoinGecko, or we're on KuCoin. It's like, how do you keep up? As an investor, you're a professional investor. I don't have the time to do this, right? Like, we work. I mean, everyone works during the day. It's hard. It's like, how do you keep up with the project? And they just keep increasing as time goes on. The number of projects that are released every day. I see different dogs on on Twitter and Instagram every day, a different dog coin and a dog token, and it's like, when are these going to stop? It's crazy.
Exactly. And when people are basing their investment strategy off a potential tweet from Elon Musk, they're probably not going to do well in their retirement years.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you bring up that good point. Just to give you an example, if I went out right now to Coin Hunt and I saw, hey, there's 12,000 votes on this project. Cool. Well, we all know the votes can be bought, but there's hype, right? So in the interest of cheating the system, there's hype. So I'm going to go and I'm going to look at it. Is it a honeypot? No. Is their TG filled with bots? Most likely. But are there legit people here that believe in the back of their minds that they're going to be making a ton of money? Absolutely. And so I'll ask the developers for a little AMA, ask them questions about the project and utility. But the majority of them have actually been rather honest with me and saying, Hunter, this is just to make money. All right, there's no utility here. There's no charity. This is get in early, make your money, and we'll renounce the contract and the community will take it over and we'll leave. And so I think that's what's getting people sucked into this, is they're seeing this huge hype market around it. And even though the project may not be a scam, it's because you've got so many people that were able to get in at the very early onset, or you have friends and family of the developers that are holding on to very large bags. The project may not rug at all. It's just you have holders that have been in it since day one, and
Right.
this hype brings people in above and beyond private sale and pre-sale, and they're dumping all this money in, believing the hype, and the developers, they take their cash and they walk away. But you mentioned platforms with Pink Sale and KuCoin, and
Right.
you're absolutely correct. That's one thing I also will look for. There was a NFT project that was being developed. The guy actually sent me a very threatening message last week. These projects want you to link your wallet to their site. They'll come up with some type of explanation as to why Pink Sale won't work or why DX Sale won't work. And I cannot stress enough that if that project cannot properly release on that platform to at least earn the trust for future exchange, future development, future swap, if you are going out to a third-party site no one's ever heard of that was custom built for this and link your wallet into that, you're going to lose. Don't get into that. It doesn't matter who's endorsing that project. And so looking at how can I purchase, and then of course the usual, oh, there was an error on the exchange or there was an error on the platform, we couldn't conduct the pre-sale, and I've heard all of those,
Oh yeah, yep. Everyone's been through them, right? We've all had our fair share. It's crazy. It's sad. It really is. It's just it's knowing what you need to look at, I think, which is the most important thing for people like me, for people in the community that are looking to invest. I don't really know. They just they see crypto as I look at a dog and I say, oh, I see a poodle, right? This is a new dog. It's going to be huge. It's the next Doge, and not really knowing the tokenomics or the roadmap or what a white paper even is.
And you're absolutely correct. And I would give this advice to anybody till I'm blue in the face, that when you get into a crypto project, it's self-discipline, 100%. But you've got to ask yourself, what are you wanting out of crypto as a whole? Are you wanting to be a day trader? Well, tokenomics token is not going to be profitable for day trading. But if you are looking for long-term sustainability, if you are looking to invest in a project that you can fall asleep at night and not worry about it getting rugged the next day, then absolutely there should be no reason why you cannot ask those challenging questions to the developers. What is the utility? What is the roadmap? And hold those developers to those milestones. And if those developers are pushing back and either saying it's coming and they've not provided anything transparent at all, I understand things take a while for development, but if the developers are not going to be honest with you and just continually vague the answer or dodge the question, and you're looking for long-term investment, that's not the project for you. It's you buy the team, you don't buy the token. So it comes down to, if you got $1,000 in your pocket for Christmas and you want to know how to get into crypto, then it comes down to, do I get into a coin? Do I get into a token? Most people have no idea there's a difference between the two. Try explaining that one to somebody who has no familiarity with crypto, and they can really get suckered into this stuff. It's no different than the neighbor coming over saying, hey, I'm selling Avon, come to my party, or I'm selling Rubbermaid, or what, and it really feels like that. So what people read in the news about crypto and how there's these amazing spikes and folks are making millions of dollars. Well, the token markets are capitalizing off of that because there's not enough education that exists on the token side. There's not really anybody working for Charles Schwab that's advising them on the Binance Smart Chain. They're advising them on the blockchain. And so you find an influencer. You find the guy that has hundreds of thousands of followers and he's raving about a project, and you believe that. You're basing your financial decisions and your investment future on somebody who could very easily get 10,000 likes. But if you told yourself at the very beginning that you're looking for a legit project with long-term sustainability, with updates, and just something a little bit more stable than a 401k recently with inflation, then if you walk into a project and those questions of yours are not answered, and you're on your own, right? I mean, you really have to discipline yourself with what you're getting into.
So let me ask you this: you've been in the community. We can't thank you enough as an AstroDonkey team for being in the community with us. You've been nothing but supportive, but you kind of just worked your way into the community, right? We don't really. How did you find yourself in the AstroDonkey community in the first place?
Wonderful question, and I've gotten a few DMs on this as well. So in the interest of full disclosure to anybody who's listening or to anybody who's going to watch this, I do not get paid by any project, period. I have been offered money by other projects. I get DMs for, I give you a bag of this, I'll do this and so forth. I don't accept anything because I don't ever want to be bound to that project. Integrity matters to me. And I may not always 100% of the time be right, but I'm never going to take a project's money and deceive an investor on the back end to cheat my pocketbook. So that's full disclosure. I don't get paid from any projects. Donations are one thing, but I don't get paid to shill anything. And so how I came across AstroDonkey, I was looking, doing my coin hunt, if you will, and just doing some of the trending BSC gems, and just part of my partner network had mentioned AstroDonkey to me and said, hey, go check this out. This kind of seems cool. They like the artwork, and there was some talk about a registered company. And so at first, the shilling type overview, it looked the same as many other projects that I review. But then I go out to the Secretary of State's website and I validate, whoa, this is a business. This is new. Like I don't think I have seen in those 1,400 projects this year more than 2, maybe 3. Like I can count on one hand how many businesses have done this. US-based businesses. And I'm like, okay, well, let's validate, the identities of the persons with their doxing. And then I go into the Telegram group, and of course I see the folks coming in of, you buy now, well, we can sell you a way to fast track your coin market cap and your CoinGecko, and you guys are telling them to F off. It's like, this is new. Like, I mean, it's so rare that I'm sticking around at this point wondering, where's the punchline? Where's the gotcha? Because nobody just registers a company. Nobody just turns down that kind of advertising. What do you mean there's not a shoot ton of bots in here? Like, there was something about it that was like, it felt right. And then I start asking some questions, and people answered the questions. People were happy to answer the questions. Hell, people were putting even out on social media that if we didn't answer your question to your level of expectation, come back and tell us, hey, dumbass, you didn't answer the question. And it was it was something that was refreshing. And so what really brought me into it was because I look for those long-term investments. I'm not hurting financially, and I don't always need to go after cash grabs. Sometimes it's fun. But I have people that come to me. I have people that pay me and say, Hunter, where does my portfolio go in the next direction? What are you recommending for this? I may put not financial advice all over any postings that exist out there, but I have people in real life, real time here that look to me for some level of leadership and advice into a project, because this is the future of their financial picture.
Right.
And so taking that holistic approach, you guys fired on all cylinders. Now, crypto is crypto, and I tell everybody that nothing is ever 100%. Things happen. There was, I'm sure you are familiar with the DYOR token that exists out there. And I've known Jeremy since he started that token. I've known many developers. I'm still in touch with many developers across the blockchain. And DYOR, I mean, come on, do your own research right there, ends up having their former CEO take hundreds of thousands of dollars out of that project. It was a political firefight. We will never know the truth, what happened. The he said, she said, and the truth we'll never know. But that project that established itself on the foundation of ethics, the foundation of safety, tore itself to pieces. And I don't actually see that happening here. But what I tell folks is that volatility exists, and that's why it's important to be an active member in the community. When you donate to your 401k, or you're doing your contributions every month, you just set it and forget it, and you're hoping that your hedge manager, your financial advisor at Charles Schwab is going to do the right thing for your investment. But with crypto, you have more control over that investment, and you can't just set it and forget it. And so being an active member in the community helps direct the success and the outcome. Talking to friends and family that are interested in crypto and giving them a good first experience in it. Because most people's interpretation of crypto is Robinhood, and they have no idea when you tell them PancakeSwap. So,
right. Oh no, I know.
Or you have investors come in that, why aren't you listed on an exchange? Like, what do you mean? Well, it was like, why is AstroDonkey not on Binance?
Yeah, exactly. Or Coinbase, like when trade on Coinbase, right? Like we hear that constantly too. It's like, when are you going to be able to trade it? It's like, well, we're on there, we can't trade it yet, but they don't understand the actual application process or what needs to happen in order to make that happen, right?
Right, and that's why I also believe that a project that's willing to educate not just its investors, but educate the public about crypto the way it was meant to be, the way it really should be, decentralized, not one person having the control of it, and really empowering people and giving you more control over your financial future. But at the end of the day, crypto, most projects, there's no difference in going to a slot machine and playing the crypto markets. There's really not, because sometimes you get in and you have a lot of luck. I don't know if either of you folks have ever heard of the project called Herpes.
I have not, no. Which is good. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or not. But
So one of the Dogecoin developers is a friend of mine. Being in the blockchain for so many years, I've had the privilege, meeting with Vitalik, meeting with several folks on the Dogecoin core team, meeting Billy Marcus, even though he's no longer on the project. But one of the Dogecoin developers decided one day he was going to release a project called Herpes, just as a way to spread herpes. Ha ha, it's a joke. But the last time somebody in Dogecoin released something that was a joke, we know what happened with it. It made money. And so I was actually on their Twitter space one night, and my wife's next to me, and I'm like, you know what, I'll just put $330 into this thing. It's cheesy, it's fun. And my wife thought I was a lunatic. Like, why? Like, really?
Yeah.
Well, within 5 days, that $330 investment turned into $114,000.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so not too bad. It was cool.
No, I would say you're okay. I'd say that's all right.
But here was the problem. I was a top 5 wallet.
Right.
And so,
right. So what happened when you sold?
Yep.
Yeah.
If I had dumped, at this point we started getting hundreds and hundreds of holders. We ended up getting close to 1,000 holders, and I'm still a top 5 wallet, especially with the reflections. And so I'm looking at a liquidity pool of $118,000 and I'm holding a valuation of $114,000. But does the thought kick into my head to, you know what, I took profits on the way up, we all do, but does the thought in the back of my head say, you know what, screw it, take it all out, it's just crypto? Yeah, the thought does pop into my head, but I didn't get into the project as a cash grab. I got into the project, it was a joke. That joke turned into serious money, but that was other people's money.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
if you heard about the Upcoin incident, that was interesting. But ultimately, Herpes ended up getting botted and attacked. And so I watched my $114,000 dwindle down to 90, 80, 70, all the way down to $30,000. And one of the developers on there, who later said he was joking, said this would be the end of the project. This bot's going to attack the liquidity pool and we're done. So I sold the $30,000 that I had remaining. Just the bot ended up getting just completely annihilated. It was done, but the project only had a couple $1,000s left in the liquidity pool. People are freaking out. I'm talking with the developer like, has this been fixed? And he says, yeah, we fixed the bot. Why? Good. Guess what I did with that $30,000?
Back in.
Put it back in.
Yeah.
We started the green candle movement. We put it back in. We started pumping it back up. There's not a lot of people that would do that. But if you're looking at a long-term investment and you're looking at a project that you know could do well, yeah, could I have taken the money and run? Sure. But all those other people in there that I had befriended, all those other people in there that were relying on me for information, that's just morally wrong. That would have cheated them because I brought them into it.
Right. Well, that's the difference between you and a lot of other investors. You know, it is your commitment to the community, and it shows outside of it shows outside of crypto too. Everything that you do for the community outside of the crypto world. You know, it's all a reflection of who you are as a person. And unfortunately, a lot of the community isn't like that. And I think that a lot of our community is. We're very lucky from that standpoint, but that's really what differentiates AstroDonkey from a lot of other projects, and you've touched on it a lot, but seeing it more and more every day of the people that do come into this project and stick around, these people are incredibly active in the community and they're here for each other and they trust, our developers and they trust people like you and people like, me and everybody that, they're going to be friends and they're going to stick by each other. And I think that that's, a big part of AstroDonkey as a whole.
And you, true words right there, brother. And that's something I cannot stress enough of just how rare it is in the crypto space to come across a project like AstroDonkey. And again, that's not because somebody is paying me to say anything. It's like, I could give you a list of Binance wallets that you go track down and quite literally verify over 1,400 projects. In the interest of full transparency, my wife and I manage a 7-figure portfolio in crypto. We're not retired. That doesn't go very far when you are diversified, if you will, when you're buying hardware, when you're maintaining hardware, when you're in many investments for the goal of that long-term sustainability. I'm 42 years old. I'm looking at it, if I can retire when I'm 50, that's cool. But I'm setting my children up. I want them to be cared for. I want the investments and the dividends and the interest. I want that to help pay for their education, for their cost of living as they're trying to get their lives going. But more importantly, there's nothing like being able to go into a restaurant or hell, a grocery store a couple days before Thanksgiving, and there's tons and tons of people in the line, and you're just like, this whole line I'm paying for, just done. And that's really cool because you're inspiring people, and then they're like, wow, how did you do that? And it's like, crypto is amazing. Oh, can you show it to us? Like, obviously nobody gets rich quick, but just introducing people to crypto the right way through the power of positivity helps I would think helps define the character, that if somebody came across the same situation that I did with that bot attacking and knowing you have a controlling stake in that project, don't
Yeah.
be the greedy asshole, right? Like, you
Yeah.
have other people in here to think about.
Right.
And so
Right.
what you guys have done here is incredibly rare. And you're raising money for the Salvation Army. I'd love you to, if you wouldn't mind, I'd love you to kind of touch on that. I don't think a lot of folks know. I've tried to get that out as much as possible. But how is so that donation? It's going to be $1 for every holder.
Correct. Correct. So the way it's worked, and we were able to plug this a little bit on the DBT when we had Rich on before, and you had hopped on as well. I tried to get a little plug in there, but so for every one holder that AstroDonkey has, we're donating $1, or one holder of we're donating $1 up to $3,000 to the Salvation Army. And it doesn't matter if you own 1 billion AstroDonkey or you own one token. The goal is to, at the end of the day, the goal for our community is to donate to those who need it most during, this time. And the holidays are tough for everybody. They really are. Whether you're perfectly, content, you're struggling, you're in great shape, really doesn't matter. The holidays are tough, and we want to give to those who are in need and who really need or depend on the Salvation Army every year, for essentials. So I think that's a great one of the great things, and we've done it so early, Hunter. I feel like that's one of the things we talked about this before, and I have to stress it enough because every time I explain AstroDonkey to somebody now, I have to tell them that we are not a charity token. We are not a charity. We are a coin that is helping charity. We're not a charity coin, right? And you really brought on the difference between the two to me. And now it's kind of like a staple when I'm pitching AstroDonkey to somebody.
But no, but you're 100% correct, and that kind of goes back to the morals, the values of the project is that a business, a nonprofit organization or a business for profit, right? So even though this is not a charity token, it is still a business that conducts charitable actions, still
Right.
executes those actions. But the drive, and I think that's where some people get lost in the realm of things with crypto, with all the verbiage, is there's a project here in Dayton called Karmacoin. And they developed by some local folks in and around town. I was kind of their worst nightmare for a little while because I was questioning the wallets. But they gave away supercars to their holders. So if you were a holder, you were entered in to win a Corvette, even interestingly enough, up until last month, a McLaren. So
Oh, wow.
That's expensive. So what happened was Memorial Day weekend, they came out and they billed themselves as a charity token. That was the fall right there. They billed themselves as a charity token. Oh, we're doing for charity. We're doing for charity. But unfortunately, the developers gave the friends and the family these massive bags. And they used their last name, rather prestigious name in Dayton. They used their last name to get this message out. Well, this was one of those projects that $1,000 over Memorial Day weekend, to give you an idea how high this thing catapulted over the weekend, was worth $200,000 off of a $1,000 investment. The problem was you couldn't own a wallet that large unless you were on their whitelist or unless your wallets were designated as such as their friends and their family.
Right.
But they had to buy these cars. And so they're saying, yep, we're going to do Make-A-Wish Foundation. We're going to do all these charitable foundations and this, that, and the other. And when I talked to the developers, it was like, I understand what you're trying to do. You have a 10% tax and you're saying that 0.5% goes to charity. And you have a 6% marketing wallet. That's insane. But you're billing yourself as a charity token, and you really need to change the focus. They didn't, and the project is dead because they got in with some rather potential serious investors in the Dayton area that firmly believe that everything they were putting, they tried to do a tax write-off. They're like, well, I'm donating to charity. But what's worse is one of these guys on the development team started a veterans token. that pissed me off
Yeah.
because he did it in a shady way. He's like, we're supporting veterans organizations. We are a charity token. And I asked him, who are you affiliated with? Oh, that's coming. No, you're using, it's like, did you even enlist? He says, no, I'm not a veteran, but we're going to have veterans pitch this. As a matter of fact, Hunter, would you be willing to take some of our stickers and go to Wright Pat Air Force Base and go promote this? But then he started posting pictures of veterans who were feeling suicidal and really sad, like not really inspirational type pictures, but just trying to really gut wrench somebody and guilt them into donating.
Yeah.
And he took the money, 300 grand. He took the money. And the damning element to that was that people heard charity. They wanted to do good in their communities. So by you defining that, hey, we want to help our community, but we can help our community better and stronger when we are an established and profitable business, a profitable platform. We are still doing charity work. But if we're here to only donate to charity, that never works. It never works. So, and I'm very admirable that AstroDonkey stands their ground in, you're building a business, you're building an enterprise, you're building something for you, for your family, but you're building something for your community. And you're not deceiving somebody saying, well, if you donate, it's all going to charity. And so that's also one of the other things that I look for. And that was a thumbs up when I found out how you guys stood in the eyes of the charitable speak, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we have, we've been talking a lot about the good parts of AstroDonkey, right? And this question might be a little hard. It's not meant to be. We want you to be completely honest. But what do you see, as an investor, out of the moderators and the developers that you would like them to improve on, or what do you think could be done better in the community?
I mean, just from what
I
don't
mean to throw you on, on the spot or anything. This is not the wrong answer.
No, you're perfectly fine. I'm known for not having a filter at times. I mean, just being 100% with you. I mean, you guys are doing it, the right way in that you're active, you're answering the questions. I noticed you put the roadmap up there. I guess a little bit more emphasis on the pinned of that roadmap, a little bit more circulation of the roadmap of the project, because it's really cool that we've got this foundational community in there, and it's cool that folks can come together. But because of just the sheer volume of either messages or the logarithm on Twitter, a lot of this stuff gets buried when it talks about the next iteration. Like, I know you folks have updated the roadmap, but you kind of got to go digging for it, or clicking, so many different pinned messages or such. I'd almost, you don't want to blanket the social media elements. You don't want to just blanket Telegram, but you guys are progressing forward as promised with your roadmap. And I don't think that's as visible as it could be for somebody that can only pop into Telegram for a few minutes and look, or to go check a site. So, and you'll have to pardon my idiocy, I've not actually gone to the AstroDonkey site lately. But I think you guys are doing good work. And I think people need to see that more. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that wasn't a trick question at all. We, as a coin that's completely, building organically, we have to find ways to organically grow as well, right? So speaking with somebody with such experience, it's great to hear. We wanted to kind of check and see what you would recommend, what you've seen that we can do better. We always want to, improve the investing experience for the community.
No, and like I said, you guys are doing great. You're able to answer those questions. Even what you're doing now, opening up the floor and doing Q&As, having some folks out in the community even submit feedback, if they want to learn about crypto, or maybe, if they want to learn more about AstroDonkey, maybe a segment on YouTube, or just a quick video of, just an update on the roadmap. Just progress over perfection. You have some projects that they go to these great extremes to professionally produce these videos, and it doesn't really do much. A serious investor, when they go into a project, it's just like with a resume. They're going to look for 30 seconds to a minute. And if something does not catch their eye on that initial scan, they're going to go to the next one and to the next one and so forth and so forth. And so because you guys are doing such really good work and you are updating your roadmap, I think making that more visible, these types of sessions, whether it be a fireside chat or just leaving the voice chat open a couple of times, or allowing the feedback from the end users, and just a little bit more push on the social media side that this is a business. This is not just a token. This is a business. This is a platform. I see you doing very well.
Awesome. Well, Hunter, thank you so much for everything. Thank you for coming in and chatting with everybody. We really can't thank you enough. This was awesome. It's always a pleasure getting to chat. Make sure that you guys, if you don't, make sure you guys give him a follow. Hunter and Crypto on Twitter. Hunter, this was awesome. I know that you have a very busy schedule, so you taking the time to come out and chat with the community is greatly appreciated by all of us.
Really, the honor is all mine. I love meeting good people, such as yourselves, such as the folks in the community. This is why I do what I do. It's an inspiration to meet good people. It's an inspiration to learn from people, because that's what we do every day. We're always learning something new. We're meeting people of different backgrounds, different thought processes, and this is actually what makes a project successful, is when community collaboration comes together like this, and everyone brings something to the table. It's kind of like the potluck token project, right? And so everyone's coming, bringing something to the table. They're making it their own, and I cannot stress enough that if you're getting into crypto, if it's your first time, if you have questions, these are the types of communities you want to be with, because they're going to answer those questions. They're going to do so honestly. Don't just follow an influencer that's got 300,000 followers, and don't just follow his financial advice. Don't get into a project that is waiting for an Elon tweet. Crypto is a long game, and if you go into it expecting to get rich quick overnight, you'll make an emotionally charged decision, which will bankrupt you in the end.
Yeah, and this is a lot of fun. That's why I like. I'm glad that you had you came on and you're telling me that this is great, because I like these fireside chats are, I think, a great open kind of AMA where we kind of we dox ourselves, right? We make ourselves available for anybody that wants to come on and chat with us about anything, whether it's crypto. And unfortunately, I wish we almost had more of a more questions come about from the community about more about crypto in general, and not so much about AstroDonkey, but as we grow and as we we develop as a community, we continue to push. Maybe we'll get to see some of that, and I think that this is a great platform to talk to people like you who have that experience and who bring just so much knowledge to the table. And I know that our community as a whole greatly appreciates having you on today. And I myself and everybody here has learned so much just from chatting to you in an hour.
Well, again, I am humbled and really truly blessed to know folks like you and the folks in the community. I really get that inspiration from people that just good people. I mean, there's so much toxicity that exists out there on the interwebs, and it's not a lot of fun on occasion when you do get as busy as I do, or the volume of messages that you get every day, because not everyone cares for you or cares to know you. They care for your knowledge only, and they don't care how they get it. You guys are fantastic. You all are doing an incredible job. We'll get there. I say we.
Awesome.
I'm a proud member of the community. And if there is ever anything that I can do, answer any questions for you or members of the community, you are more than welcome. Tag me, DM me. I'll answer as quickly as I can. But if there's something I can do to help build the success of AstroDonkey, the platform moving forward, and the education around it, I am more than happy to do so.
Awesome. Thank you. And hopefully you would come back at some point. We'd love to have you back if you'd be interested.
Yeah, for sure. Just let me know.
Great. Awesome. Well, you know what? You go enjoy your anniversary. Congratulations. 20 years is the real deal, my friend. You're in it now. There's no turning out.
It's like any good investment, right? It's like
That's it.
Although I have to make sure I have to make sure she's not standing behind me. Real quick before you let me go, she just might get a kick out of this. So we're all familiar with like the sound of a jet engine, right? I mean, it's loud. So I want to know if you can hear the background. I'm going to walk into the mining room just to give you an idea of the amount of air that is coming in from here.
Okay.
So
I can hear it the second. Yeah, the second it changed.
If you can hear any of that.
Oh yes, we can. I sure can.
There's quite a bit of air displacement right now. I'll have to send you some pictures of it. But
yeah, definitely. It sounds like it's blowing your hair backwards.
It does, and so it exhausts 125 degrees Fahrenheit. And at any given time, it's moving roughly 30,000 square feet per minute of air in that room.
Wow.
So
and that's at your residence too. So you guys, do you have active cooling in there or no?
No. It's with the weather shifting the way that it is right now, we're able to use the natural outside air, but it's just all intake and exhaust.
Oh, that's awesome. I'll have to chat with you one time about this. But I know that that I want to let you go enjoy some time, but we'll be talking for sure. That's so cool. But thank you again for everything. Have a great night, and really thank you for tuning in. This is awesome, and thank you to everybody who came out and listened to Fireside with 69. It's always a pleasure.
Have a wonderful night, everyone. Thank you.
You too, everyone. Thanks so much.